friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday This and That vlog where I talk about all kinds of different topics, give you some garden updates, lead you back to some old videos, answering questions that have come in the past week or so, and whatever else I feel like talking about. So let's get to the topics of today, and the first one is the peach rhubarb syrup. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. This isn't so much an instructional video. I'm just going to give you a brief run through since I posted a picture of it in my community section, and so people were asking. It's just super simple. Anytime you're making a syrup, you can use any fruit that you want to use. It's just fruit and sugar and cooking it. And in some cases you may need to add water depending on the consistency of what you're using. And I just don't follow a recipe, I just do things. So what happened was I got some peaches from Misfits Market. I just wanted to can a little bit up. I didn't have a lot of, since I still have a lot of peaches canned up from previous years, I just wanted to get a few more jars put up. And just on a side note, the peaches I got ended up being white peaches rather than your yellow peaches, which I was a little bummed, but they still tasted great. So what I did to add color to this was I threw in a few chunks of rhubarb, which you can see down there. And the color's not in the rhubarb anymore because the purpose of that was to add a little color to the jar. So it did give it more of at least a pinkish hue. So if I was to do that again, instead of adding 4 of the darkest red pieces of rhubarb, I'd probably go up to 6, maybe 8 little pieces. And that would also add a little more flavor. You wouldn't have to add lemon juice. You'd get a little more of that tartness in there. So anyway, instead of making vinegar like I usually do out of my peach peels, I have a lot of vinegar and a lot of things to make vinegar out of. Like right back here, I've got banana peel and mango peel and pit vinegar going. And so I decided to take the peels this time and turn them into a peach rhubarb syrup, which I've made before and loved it. That one was more of a butter. It had a thicker consistency to it. But I just wanted to go with syrup because I can use it for so many things. It can go on pancakes. It can go in yogurt. It can go on ice cream. And you can see the color here. It's kind of a little bit red. I was hoping it would turn out a little more red than that, but it doesn't matter. It's still good. So I just took the peels and some fresh rhubarb from the garden, got approximately equal amounts. I didn't measure it out, and threw them in the blender together. Since I'm using peels and fresh raw rhubarb, I wanted to make sure they got processed well. So in that case, I did have to add a little water as needed to get it properly processed. And then I measured out, once I was done, I measured out what my total amount was, put it in a pot, and then I used half that amount of sugar. So in other words, I had 10 cups of the fruit puree, and then I added 5 cups of sugar. I turn the heat up until it comes to a good boil, and then turn the heat down accordingly, keeping it boiling to a certain point, and just cook it until it thickens up really well. And then I put it in my already heated up jars, put the lids on, and then process and hot water bath for 10 minutes just to make sure I got a good seal on my lid. And here's another little thing that I thought I'd let you know is I did 5 jars, and all the lids I used were recycled lids from previous canning projects. Now, only one of them did not seal. And so I did end up just vacuum sealing that after it cooled down and stuck it in the fridge. Though I think it would be fine on the shelf, because in something like this, the sugar is going to preserve it anyway. The vacuum sealing it or sealing it in any form is what prevents mold from growing on top. That's why people used to commonly, when they did jams and jellies, they'd put a wax layer on top and then just put the lid on. They didn't go through a canning process. Now, it used to be your ball and cur lids had a thick enough gummy layer that you could simply, and this is what I did when I first started canning up jams, was you put the jam in the hot jar, you turned it upside down for about 5 minutes, and then turned it back. The hot jam against the lid would heat that lid up good, and once you turned it right side up, a few minutes later your lids would start popping and they would seal. But they don't make those lids as good as they used to, so typically they need a little bit more than just that, or you may lose your seals through time. I had that happen when they changed the lids. Now with the Superb lids, they have a nice gummy layer. I would think that probably would have been good enough, But since I was already using recycled lids, I decided I'd go ahead and process it in the water bath counter. And you can do that with any fruit. I've made syrups out of all kinds of different fruits using that same thing. And always just consider, adjust your sugar amounts to suit you. You can use more or less, but the sugar is important for it to become syrup and to take on that proper consistency. You can also use honey instead. Just understand, if you're using honey, you're going to lose all those benefits of using honey over an organic cane sugar like I used. You could use coconut sugar as well. Just keep in mind it's not going to be as sweet, but you are going to get a lot more minerals in there. I like to use coconut sugar for some certain jams and syrups and so on. All right, so let's move on to some other topics. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've got been dehydrating this week. So still focusing on a lot of herbs, getting busy, putting up some catmint. And I did a video maybe 2 years ago on the benefits of catnip / catmint because their benefits are similar. And then I also, because years ago when I was first learning about them, I could not get a definite answer of what the difference between catnip and catmint was. Everywhere I went, I kept getting the same information, which was wrong. So I finally last year did a little more research, and now the information is out there where you can compare. And so I did a video on the differences between catnip and catmint, and I have to say I'm really glad that I grow catmint. The benefits are very similar to catnip, but I like the looks of the plant better because it gets the pretty purple flowers, and it doesn't get quite so leggy looking and weedy looking as the way catnip does. But catnip is going to be a little more powerful in its benefits than your catmint. But anyway, I find catmint to be a great option to use as a natural sedative for dogs, for humans. If I get really stressed out, I can make a nice tea out of the catmint mixed with my mojito mint, and it's very, very calming. So I'm getting that put up. I also use it in my homemade pain remedy, my pain extract. And then the other one, that now that plantain leaves are coming in and getting nice and big, I'm putting up some more plantain. I am now starting my second jar of the year of honeysuckle flowers. I'm getting so many honeysuckle flowers this year because of all the plants I've made from the original plant, and then all my plants getting bigger. So I should be able to fill up 2-pint jars this year for honeysuckle flowers. And if you'd like more information on that or any of these herbs that I'm talking about, what I'll do is I'll simply link you to the full playlist. It's got a lot of videos in it, but you can just scroll through that list and look for the ones that you're interested in, where I break down the benefits and uses of these different herbs. Because I also talk about rosemary and I also talk about thyme. And so those are a couple more things that I've been putting up. And even though I have so much rosemary and thyme put up from my own plants, I have enough to last me for several years, I'm still putting up more jars because I want to make sure I have excess on hand in case I ever want to barter with somebody for anything that I need, such as the chicks. Like I mentioned in last week's video, one of the things I gave to my friend to pay for the chicks, was a pint-sized jar of dried horehound from my own garden. Since hers is just getting started, I also gave her a couple of horehound starts, but they're kind of struggling right now. So I wanted to also give her some dried horehound so she could have some to use right away while her plants get established, and hopefully start giving her some fresh horehound to use in making cough, cold, and flu medications. So just a few of the things I've been drying up and getting put up, along with more rhubarb for the same purpose of having some for barter, especially if it's the middle of winter. Somebody wants rhubarb, they don't have any fresh rhubarb, so now I've got some dried up and I can use that for a source of barter. And so with that in mind, let's just talk a little bit about the garden. The grapes are still coming along doing great. My blackberries are flowering. I'm going to start getting some fruit. My strawberries are starting to ripen up. And my potatoes are doing great. My tomatoes and my cucumbers in the greenhouse are just to that point now where they're just starting to explode with life. I'm starting to get little tomatoes forming. The peppers in there, they're always much farther behind the tomatoes. The tallest one's probably about that tall, but I'm starting to see little flower buds forming. So it's that same way every year. I'm so thankful we have a greenhouse and a covered area, another covered area that we're eventually going to completely close in, because if it wasn't for those, there's a lot of these things wouldn't do near as well. And then we have a third area that we're going to be covering soon. And that will really be able to increase the amount of things we can grow as our weather keeps getting colder and colder. Now, you may have seen, by now, actually, you might have seen at least 3 of the shorts that I've made published. The first one was from over a week ago, where I did a run through of my west side herb garden and my south facing little narrow strip of herb garden, just to give you a quick update. With me being 6 weeks ahead on my videos now, which is to the point where it's almost too far ahead, I don't want my videos out any further than that. And certainly garden updates need to be more timely. And even with my this and that videos like this, there's still a gap between the time they were shot and the time they publish. So I shoot the videos on a Thursday, they publish on a Monday, so you still got those few days in between. And there's a lot that can change in a garden in that little bit of time. So I'm going to start utilizing the shorts option in order to be able to give you quick run-throughs. And those are easy and quick to throw together. And I'll probably start publishing those on a Sunday. And I'll pick different garden areas and just do a quick run-through so you can see how things are looking so far. So as I start adding the shorts to my channel, it's going to be things like that, things where I can give you some quick updates since my videos are so far out, or even do it as a supplement if I have a full-length video and then I'll have a short video. So years ago when they first came out with the shorts, I tried to put some together and they never really did great, and it made a lot of people mad because they thought I was going to start doing shorts instead of full-length videos. And no, that was never the case, and it's still not the case. I'm still going to be doing full-length, highly descriptive videos, so those who need more explaining can still have that. But having shorts as a supplement for those who just want really fast information, again, a supplement to my channel, that way it kind of helps everyone, or at least reminds people of what they can do. So if you ever see any instructional video by me that's like that, that's in a short format, always know that I will be putting the full-length videos to those in the description box of those shorts. So when you see the egg fermenting video, the short, you'll be provided the full-length video in the description box of that for those who need more information. So that way it kind of suits both people, and it just gives me a way that I can get some quick information and updates on things, and which I usually do in my this and that videos. But if I just want to have a quick single topic thing I can put out there, I think that's going to be a really good option to do both. So remember, I'm not using the shorts to replace my 5-day-a-week videos. They are in addition to. And also putting up things like funny outtakes or just little clips of things that happen, the dog, the babies, whatever. Just like I did this last week, I took the outtakes that I had from the clove video I did 6 months ago when I was trying to shoot that one with when I was watching Jace. So he was younger in that video, by the way. And I went ahead and put that in a single short, and a lot of you seen that and really like that. And if you'd already seen the clove video and you watched it clear to the end, you would have seen those outtakes at the end anyway, but I decided to make a separate little short out of it for fun. So you might see stuff like that too as they come up. And then one thing that I had this video that just came out this last week, and it was about the shelf life of home preserved foods. Now, I made it clear that it was about home preserved foods, not necessarily store-bought foods that are already packed in a shelf-stable format. And one of the things I didn't cover the fact that when you buy store-bought canned goods that are in a can, not a jar, those are simply not going to have the same shelf life as your home preserved foods in jars. Because cans, especially anything that's got a high acid in the can, such as tomatoes or any kind of fruit, well, what happens is the acidity of that particular item starts to eat through the metal, and eventually they will lose their seal and they'll go bad. And I've actually was standing here in my kitchen one day doing something and heard a jar of pears or fruit cocktail or something I'd stocked up on years ago and never really used that stuff much. And then I could hear that thing in the pantry, which is down the hall, just, and so I knew something had lost its seal, and I dug through there and found which one it was, and then immediately dehydrated that food up because I knew it was still good because it only just lost its seal. But anyway, you're more likely to have your canned goods, your home canned goods, as long as they're well sealed the way they should be, they can last for far longer and hold their flavor far better than any kind of store-bought food in a can. Because that stuff, even if it still stays good and it doesn't lose its seal, by the time you open it up, and especially again when it comes to fruit, tomatoes, and so on, by then it's taken on the flavor of the can. And so who knows what all nasty stuff is in there. So I personally, you got to do what you have to do, stocking up on this stuff. But that's the stuff you're going to be more apt to want to rotate through quicker are the store-bought canned goods rather than your home canned goods. And again, my opinion, if you want to check out that video, I'll link to it in the description box down below. And I am basing it on experience and things I've read, but also I'm trying to state that a lot of this is my own opinion based on what I've learned and what I've done through the years. All right, well, that's my this and that for the week. Any thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, questions you'd like to ask, put those in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.